Action International Pictures presents the controversial supernatural thriller Alien Seed. Starring Eric Estrada as Dr. Stone. They invaded our planet. They violated our women. Can the alien invasion be stopped?
Something strange is happening inside of me.
Mary Jordan finds herself unexplainably impregnated after a mysterious 11-hour disappearance. The aliens want the child to rule the world, but Dr. Stone wants it dead. At any cost. Lisa vows revenge, but becomes the new target for the alien conception.
You're missing a day you can't even account for.
The future of the world lies with an unborn child. The Alien Seed.
Hello, and welcome to Next Scene Pod, the podcast taking on pop culture one scene at a time. I'm your host, Sean. My brother, Brian, could not join us for this episode, but we've got a lot of fun. Would not. Possibly made the right decision. We'll see if may have been smart about that. But so welcome to our 2024 holiday special. I almost wasn't going to do one this year. I was going to let the streak end, and then this film was or I use that term loosely. This this motion picture was sort of tossed across my transom, and I just knew we had to talk about it. The film from 1989 is Elves, and joining us to talk about it, we've got quite a motley crew. Let's start with from Mean Girls Minute and Way to Dune Minute. It's Liz Whitaker. Welcome, Liz.
Oh, hey, happy to be here. I don't know anything about movies, but that's not a problem because that's not what this is.
That's not what this is. Great. You're perfectly suited. From Real Comic Heroes and Minute of Thieves covering Robin Hood coming up. We've got Travis Bowe. Welcome, Travis.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We also have all the way from Austin Powers Minute. It's Johnie Powers.
I, too, have no idea what this movie is about, even though I watched it twice.
There you go. That's the way to do it. From Mogwai Minute and also Way to Dune Minute, it's George Hendricks. Welcome, George.
Hey, I'd rather be editing and recording episodes of Way to Dune Minute than this.
All right. And then last, but certainly not least, a friend to all of us from a couple great shows, from a show very near and dear to my heart, that was Groundhog Minute, but also the podcast 5 Minutes of Mystery. It's Dave Pallas. Welcome, Dave.
Sean, I love hanging out with you for the holidays, and I love the surprise presents you put under the tree. Yeah. That's the best way I got to put this.
It's all about that chosen family.
Yeah, chosen. Yeah. And
sometimes
all about...
you choose it extra hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes they choose you extra hard, but that's a spoiler, so we'll get there.
And sometimes the lesson is make better choices. But so I want to start off. So we're talking about from 1989, Elves. This was actually, despite the made-for-TV feeling, this was actually a theatrical release rated PG-13.
Wow.
And I want to jump in and start with the usual, how did you find this film? When did you first see it? What's your experience? And I'm going to start with myself because my first experience was I first heard about it through our group chat. And if I'm reading my back chat correctly, George, you were the one that first mentioned it. So I'll start with you, George.
So sorry.
Where did you find this? How did you find this film? How did you find out about it?
The talk, man. I saw a TikTok roll by, and it was the scene in the dining room where he's talking about, the elves and Nazis and eugenics. And I was like, this is a real thing that real people made and real people said out loud and put on film and then apparently put in a movie theater. And I was stunned, and I immediately threw in the chat. I'm like, what the fuck is this, and how have we never heard of this? Why are we not talking about this shit? And that's literally my experience with this movie.
Okay, and I think we're going to spend probably like the next hour or so talking about why we're not talking about why this film should not be talked about. But so is that Is my experience the same for everyone else that you found out about this from George? Had anyone heard of this before
Again,
that?
I am so sorry. I was not expecting that to turn into this.
I mean, I didn't back chat it to know that George brought it up, so
Right,
I'm
same.
blaming you for bringing this into my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Credit where credit is due.
So I was
So,
like,
yeah,
no,
it's George's
not
fault.
my fault, not my fault. Not taking this
Listen,
one.
I'll take the hit on that one. I'm so sorry.
That should be the subtitle. Elves, comma, this is
It's
George's fault.
George's fault.
George's fault. So to recap for folks that haven't seen it, and the entire film is on YouTube. So watch it while you can, because I'm
But
sure
it won't
whoever
have the
holds the
brief
rights,
bits of gratuitous nudity, I'm sure.
It's
Well,
got
not
a little
gratu-
bit of it. That's where I watched it.
it's
No,
not really
I wanted
gratuitous.
all of those 1989 boobs and butts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was from a time when when PG-13 you got some titties. And before then, early 80s, before PG-13 even came about, you could get some nudity in a PG film. Things were different. So to kind of just quickly describe it for folks that haven't seen it, I don't know.
It's
I'm
right.
not sure how would you
So,
describe
here's
this
the-
to
some
someone?
Christmas witches go into the woods.
Hold on. Let's do sort of
Yeah.
like an exquisite corpse where we'll start with like Liz, and then you do a line or two, and then
Yeah.
we'll pass it around, and everyone sort of like give their 2 cents on what they think this movie or what the general plot of this movie is. How about for that?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We open with some horny teenage wannabe witches who hate Christmas because, frankly, one of them got bad gifts last year.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
One of them works at a department store in the soda shop. Sure. And they have a plan that they're all going to get laid soon. And Dave doesn't like red. Get over it. One girl, Brooke, maybe, whose name I don't remember.
Okay. Yes.
That's
Elf.
the
I think
movie,
that
yeah.
was I think that was Amy, but yeah,
Whatever.
Amy and Brooke are kind of interchangeable in
Whoever,
terms of
other girl.
Kristen's friends. Other girl.
Kirsten. She's German.
There's a Kirsten, yeah.
There's a Kirsten, and Kirsten's mom and Kirsten's grandfather. That I don't think we get
yes.
names.
Ish,
And
It's
this
just
is where
Kirsten's
I'll
mom.
keep
Ish.
going with my synopsis if nobody else is going to pick up that
All right,
torch.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, so Greg Allman's in this movie, and he's homeless. He's able to get coffee and cigarettes from the department store because the manager is somehow kind of honorable to the Christmas holiday cheer at this department store called Goblins. Was it
Golem.
Golem.
Golem?
Golems.
Goddamn
Honorable
Golem.
to capitalism, not Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's the holiday season. I'll allow you to smoke cigarettes here, but you can't have a job. Though you look way better as Santa Claus. And her mother is a horrible woman to her. Her grandfather will hit her for taking his books, but then later we find out he needs to tell her stuff about what her destiny would be, but we're gonna pocket that for later. So she's at the department store. We get the Santa Claus. Oh yeah, that she cut her hand because they all tried to grab the candle glass at once and broke it.
The hot broken candle glass.
Hot broken candle glass.
Candle glass.
Cut her hand, bled into the dark woods they weren't supposed to be in. And yeah, and out comes something. We're just gonna say something,
Okay.
and I'm passing the buck.
All right. Yeah, George, you want to pick it up from there?
Yeah, so something comes out. We get a lot of weird, blurry, very down low visuals. I think it's a combination of Vaseline and camera movement situations just to make it look like something. There's a lot of lurking and watching. Her little brother
That's just
gets,
the little brother.
yeah, that too. I would like to point out that less than I think about at the 6-minute mark, you get boobs. There's about boobs at about
Yeah.
6 minutes into the movie. Gratuitous shower scene. Who her little brother is, who's like what 10, is watching her do, and then acting like, "Oh, I saw your boobs. I'm gonna tell everybody you've got big ones."
I think
So
she's like,
weird.
great. I need the advertisement. I don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Get my name out there because
I want-
apparently
I want
she
Dave
just-
to start talking to me with
Well,
his
yeah, because
yard.
she seems upset, like, "Oh, you little pervert," but then like 30 seconds later, they're rolling around in bed playing a tickle game.
Yeah,
like,
very. She's
You're
sending
sending
very
mixed
mixed
signals
messages.
here. Yeah.
Very
yeah,
mixed
definitely
messages.
mixed signals.
For sure. And then timeline wise, he gets attacked in the night. Did that happen? And then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, it's a raccoon," and he's like, he got scratched, and the evil mother's like, Yeah, whatever. Very dismissive of her child's open wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then, next.
Yeah. So Johnny, do you want to pick it up from our first attack on the younger brother?
Oh my God. I will try. Again, 2 passes through this movie, and I still am not quite clear on everything that happened. So the cat gets blamed, obviously, because it's her only friend.
Yeah.
It's the daughter's only friend. I literally was so sad about that last night when I watched it for the first time.
Yeah.
The cat named Agamemnon, by the way.
Agamemnon.
I just need
We
to
all
point
name
out
our
that it's
cats.
named Agamemnon.
Who's pregnant?
Perfect.
That's an important plot point, apparently.
Yeah.
We need to
Oh,
know
I
that
missed that
Agamemnon
detail.
is
Yeah,
I
she
totally missed
said,
that.
I don't care that you're pregnant, just don't run off with the dad.
Oh,
To the cat. Weird.
to the east.
She has abandonment issues, okay?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we cut to, other than them playing off the fact that the son is hurt, he goes back to bed without much pomp and circumstance. He just lays back down.
Passes back out.
Yeah, okay, you just got
From
attacked.
blood
I'd
loss.
be awake.
Yeah, he just dreamed about her
forever.
boobs.
yeah.
That's true. Then we go back to work, I believe, the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And she is none the wiser that her mother is at home drowning her cat in the toilet.
That is true. And then
Yeah,
buries
was
in the
a-
that
backyard.
happens. Yeah.
That scene was rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sped through that the second time. I was like, I don't want to see this twice.
Yeah, no. Well, and there's very weird ADR
Mm.
that's it's not even meowing. It's like the cat. It's like,
Oh,
help
yeah.
me. It's almost like
Yeah.
from the old 50s Fly, like a little help me.
Agamemnon's
know,
a very smart cat.
Yeah. I don't know what the
Clearly.
cat was trying to say, but just made the whole thing even more disturbing.
It's a witch's familiar. It has words.
Yeah.
It was a black cat, so you're not wrong. She buries it in the backyard and says it's fertilizer. Weird. Then we're back at the mall. Is this when the first crackhead Santa dies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he wants oral. He says that.
Yeah.
Santa
Oh my
wants
God,
Santa.
okay.
So the whole
wants
scene where they're like,
oral.
"Oh, let's go mess with the Santa Claus. I've been waiting all shift for this." And then when he gets all handsy with her, he's like, "You perv." I'm like, "What were you there to
Whoa,
do?"
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I really just want to sit on Santa's lap.
Yeah, but she wanted to ask to make it snow, and then he said, "Blow me," and I'm like, I guess that's one way to ask for snow.
Yeah.
That's one way.
I need a snow job, Santa.
Yeah, he just was like, "Oh,
It's
she's
no
turning
job.
tricks. I got it. Okay."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
then he
so
gets stabbed in the dick.
Yeah, he does.
yeah, according to Sergeant DeSoto, yeah, I guess he gets his balls cut off.
He gets stabbed multiple times in the dick, in his
Yeah.
Santa outfit. Then they even put a chalk outline on the floor
That's still
shaped like
there the
Santa.
whole time.
That's
Just stays there.
still there the
Just
rest of
stays
the-
there.
as one does,
It's a decoration now.
Yeah. But then that's the opening for then Grizzly Adams to take over. Then he gets the job offer to become the
Yeah.
replacement Santa.
I
I'm
want to
pissed
say,
on immediately,
And
Dave.
I'm sorry. I'm just really hung up on the elf. It came out of the woods and it wants to protect her and kill others that threaten her.
My
It doesn't
bride.
want to protect her. It
threaten
wants
her.
to bang
Threaten
her.
her
Bang her,
virginity.
yes.
Yeah.
But the brother eats scratches, but the next few kills, it's with a steak knife, and I just got really hung up on an elf picking up a steak knife because well, at that point the elf isn't really any more dangerous than Michael Myers. If an elf eats you or bites you at something, but that's very unique to what gremlins could do.
But using Sword Boy's logic, that knife in the hands of an elf,
It's a much
that's
bigger
sword.
weapon. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
And they don't keep swords at the local Gremlins department store.
They
or
do
whatever
keep
it's
guns,
called.
though.
They do have a gun section.
Yeah.
They
That
is
absolutely have a
America.
gun
Wait.
section.
Hold on. And the fact that I didn't notice this last night, but it's under a sign that says gifts for mom.
Gifts for mom, yeah.
well, it was a little handgun that can fit in a purse. So.
Like a Derringer
A
or
pocket
a
pistol,
little
a purse
38.
pistol.
Yeah.
It's a little 22. It fits in the purse. You take it shopping. Gifts for mom. So yeah, Travis, do you want to pick up the plot line from there?
Yeah, sure. So bear with me because I did a Robin Burge and I watched this movie at 1.5 speed so that I could make it to this recording. So let's see. there's like some background stuff going on where we start to meet some Nazi characters. There's one following the main character at the mall. There's a couple that come to the old Nazi bitch's house.
Yeah.
And kind of vaguely threaten him, I think, and they're doing stuff. And then at the same time, you got Dan Haggerty playing Santa, and he's I think Dave mentioned he gets pissed on that first time. Let's see.
Well, that's when so a little kid pisses on him, and I think that's when he like goes back to the break room, and that's when we see the chalk outline is still on the floor from the last Santa. They haven't bothered to clean that up.
Then it like cuts to the three girls or three or four girls. They plan to stay at the mall late at night so that they can let their boyfriends in, so they can all kind of get up to no good.
Canoodle,
And I was really surprised that the three guys, they attempt to get into the mall, but then I don't know, they have to go back to the car to get a tire iron, and then we never see them again. I'm surprised that they aren't.
We do.
One of them gets killed.
They all get
see
killed.
them. Do we? I know we see at least one body.
Okay.
Do we see them all? They get killed by the elf when the Nazis.
Okay, then I must have missed it in the speed I was watching and the quality of the.
It is a blink and you miss it kind of thing.
Okay.
So I thought it was they tried to get in. The door was locked because they took the tape off because Grizzly Adam put the tape on the door so he could get in and out and be sneaky about it. Yeah. And then they went back to get a tire iron, and then the Nazis showed up, killed them, put the tire iron, and then broke back in, and that's why the Nazis were in the building.
Oh, the Nazis killed them.
Elves. The elf was already in there the whole time.
Okay. There is a little bit of
I do remember they showed like they pan down and you see a body at the doorway or something. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So now I remember. Yeah, because then they show the Nazis stepping over the body.
Yeah.
When they break in and the alarm goes off. There's a little bit of like a Scooby-Doo thing where
I think that's supposed to be Dave, by the way, because he was the most horny of the three, and I think that was the top of his head.
Yeah. And of course, he's the boyfriend of the girl who's a virgin because she has to be a virgin because of elves.
They're all virgins.
Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all
the other
virgins.
two are more like that one girl was like, oh, I just say whatever even if I don't want to because it's easier that way.
Yeah.
That's a good message for the kids.
She's like promiscuity curious.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I last night I heard one of like the boys talking or something and like them calling the girls bitches or something. I don't even know. I didn't catch it the second time, but
it does, like,
they were awful.
80s horror movie, like 80s teen horror movie rules apply where if you're a teenager having sex, you're gonna die. The only one that survives is the virgin.
It's the virgin,
yeah. Or is she? But yeah, so there's a bit of a Scooby-Doo thing with like so Grizzly Adams they show him like he's homeless, so he's locked out he's been evicted from his trailer. So he's sleeping in the department store, like in the Santa break
someone
room.
Don't you own a trailer? I didn't realize you rented.
There are trailer parks that are rental. Yeah.
Yeah.
His was in the middle of a field.
I think he just locked himself out.
Yeah.
Is he a squatter? Did he just find this thing? And
so he has taped the lock. He has like kind of taped the lock on the back door of the department store so he can stay there. But then Kirsten has also taped the door so she can go in with her friends, and then one of the friends removes the tape, and then they're like, wait a second, how are the boys going to get in? There's a lot of back and forth with the door.
This movie should be remade with Sophie Thatcher, cleaned up but remade.
Yeah, this
movie should have just been made into the porno it wanted to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of, and I know I think we're only through like the first 20 minutes of the plot.
That's where the plot kind of stops.
I'm sorry, the body being taped with masking tape and him smoking, acknowledging it like he's a roommate.
Yeah,
just like come back to later on.
Later, Eddie.
Yeah,
you're just gonna come back and smoke my cigarettes and say, and like he had the Marlboro pack like on the bed, like Grizzly has can't go like 10 feet without, and the cigarette was never a fresh cigarette that he just lit.
Oh no,
it was always a cigarette nub.
I'm
like convinced that Dan Haggerty was just said, I'm gonna smoke in every scene. I'm just gonna smoke all day. You can just film it, you know.
That's
Yeah.
the
only way
They
you can
acknowledge
make
it at one
movie.
point. They're like, sir, you can't smoke in here. He's like, sorry about that. And
Whatever.
he doesn't
Yeah.
stop smoking.
Yeah.
And the professor in the next scene was smoking a pipe. So I'm like,
He's
oh,
got
so
a
the
pipe.
role just gets
Yeah.
thrown out. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, pipes smell better than cigarettes. We know
It
that.
is
yeah.
true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
You
is
get nice
true.
tobacco smelling.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, so one of the questions I had is, so, we've talked about the nudity. We've talked about, we've talked about all the cursing. The younger brother curses up a storm,
Yeah.
the smoking. So I want to go around and can you give us one thing in this film that would make it R-rated today? So this was PG-13 in 1989, but in the 21st century, this would definitely be an R movie. Tell us why. And so start with Dave. Give us one thing in this film that you think would make it an R rating.
Okay, well, I think it's apparently Dan Haggerty was fired off the force from drinking, but he's a habitual smoker and never drinks throughout this entire film. And he seems to have a cool head, so I've never thought him as a drunk. So if you're gonna remake it, you'd have to and if you're making it rated R, then you just show him like absolute booze hound and cigarette smoking and brushing his teeth and drinking coffee all in the same scene. And I feel like just having the alcohol would add the rated R to it today.
Yeah. So when he first asks his buddy Hugh for a job at the department store, he mentions he's got his 90-day chip. So I guess he's in AA or NA. He's got 90 days clean. But yeah, so smoking, that's something today. I think that first scene is the only time we see him without a cigarette. And actually, most of the scenes, he's got a cigarette and a cup of coffee.
Maybe he didn't smoke before he quit drinking, and that's what he picked up.
Maybe.
Okay, that's all right. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That he switched vices.
He's
Okay,
just
I like that.
One for the other.
But yeah, so these days, tobacco use is definitely, that's an automatic R. If you've got your main character smoking, or one of your secondary protagonist with Kirsten, if he's smoking in every scene, that's an automatic R these days. Let me go, George, I'll do you number 2. So something else other than the smoking that you've noticed in this film that you think would make it an R rating today.
I mean, they do it's mostly full frontal nudity on the mom.
Yeah.
Which is it's a thing that you don't see much anymore, and it was a thing you saw a lot back then, and people were just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, when she took a bath later on, there was like, and then when she did the scene where she was being electrocuted, it's like, well, there's no more secrets for that woman. We know all. But
between that and the shower scene with her daughter, and it
was almost like, okay, we need to start it off with fresh. Let's get some boobs in there, just kind of get things going, and then we won't show them anything else. We'll have a lot of implication. We'll show them anything else for like another hour, and then we'll just give them everything. If they made it this long, they deserve it.
And honestly, I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to excite an audience when you're like, this girl's had the worst 10 minutes start of a film, and like we're gonna show her like kind of crying naked in the shower. That's gonna excite the audience. It's like, Jesus, this is like the worst night. Like, God damn.
Listen, I'm very turned on by emotional intimacy, and I just felt like a connection with her. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I was like,
get some tears,
girl.
baby.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
So kind of keep things moving. So Johnny, was there anything you could pick out, one thing other than the smoking and the nudity? Was there something you thought like this would be an R movie if it was released today?
The 10-year-old saying fuck like within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Aren't R-rated movies supposed to only have 3 uses of fuck?
No,
I thought it was
or is
just
it
one.
PG-13?
I thought
PG-13 gets
PG-13
one
you got
fuck.
one fuck.
Okay.
And then you got
Well, you just we can't say that anymore.
This is now
otherwise
an
it's gonna be
R-rated podcast.
We've just had our
This is an
3
R-rated
right there.
podcast.
So the little brother basically does like the rental car scene from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with
Trash
Steve
mouth.
Martin. that was another one. Yeah, that many fucks
So
is
soon,
definitely
so
an
back to
automatic
back.
R these days. Yeah. He piles it
Also,
on.
something that kept blowing my mind was the fact that this movie was shot and released in 1989. So it makes perfect timeline sense that he's wearing Ninja Turtle pajamas.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
this
like
thing
for
looks
Nintendo.
like it's from 1975, so it looks so anachronistic to see him running
Listen.
around in Ninja Turtle pajamas.
Mommy doesn't love them. Kind of loves the son a little bit.
A little bit.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hang
Is
on.
he-
No spoilies. Hang on.
I'm just saying, and my question is like, should she? Is
No.
it a family thing?
Yeah. Well, no, I think we can get into it. I want to get back to the R-rated question, but
Yeah.
so it comes out. There's a like a Chinatown daughter sister thing. It turns out that Kirsten's grandfather is also her father, and her mother is
Why?
also her sister.
Because keeping the
Because
Nazi
Nazis keep the
eugenics
bloodline
line
pure. You gotta
Hey, but
keep the
don't
bloodline
worry,
pure.
she was drugged. She didn't
Oh, right, yeah.
experience it.
She didn't even. Yeah, it wasn't bad for her. She was
This-
unconscious.
Whole
It
movie
was
is Wincest for the
Yeah,
porno lovers
Wincest.
here between
Yeah.
like everything with this family.
Also, what about is her brother, or her
That's
half
what I
brother?
was wondering.
Does he
that's-
have
wondering
a
that
Does
too.
he have a different father?
Who's-
Yeah, what's that deal?
That's the question. So because the brother is like, well, so I assume Kirsten's of age, probably like a high school senior, so she's let's call her 18. The mother was 16 when she had had her. The brother's what? So we're saying he's 10, he's 8 years younger. Like, so yeah,
After
Yeah.
8
So
years,
basically,
where did she
is he-
acknowledge her brother being born from? Her mother came home one day like, I'm pregnant and your father's dead is also well. And you're like, well, okay. Like, when
Well,
did my father die? And who's my brother's father?
Yeah.
right. Well, because
I guess that
like,
just it could be
Kirsten
a
has never
one-night
met her
stand.
father. So how,
She
how
has.
does the
Yes,
mother?
she has.
Well, she just didn't know.
Daily.
Yeah, she has.
Daily.
But yeah, so who does she think is the father of her brother?
I
Does she
don't
just
know.
think her mother sleeps around?
Also,
Well, hopefully
the
the sequel will
Like
explain
Agamemnon,
that.
she probably had the same talk with her mother that she had with Agamemnon. Like, okay,
how
you're
did
pregnant,
Agamemnon
just
get
don't
pregnant?
run away with the.
Oh, is it the grandfather that got Agamemnon pregnant?
Oh.
Ooh. Let's not throw
Oh.
bestiality in here.
Hey, what,
Grandpa's
I mean,
fucks.
Yeah,
That's
we
about
don't
the
want
only-
to besmirch the Nazis by implying
Yeah, I don't
that they
know.
were.
oh,
They might
keep
be
it pure.
insulted.
I mean, the mother doesn't even work, right? She just killed the cat and buried it. She had all day.
Yeah,
So, like,
she had all
no one
day.
works in this house. And Kristen lost her savings when the
She
movie
took
started.
it. She took it from her. Like, I'm
Yeah.
taking your savings account.
As
Is that a thing you can
punishment.
do?
In the Reagan era, that's gotta
How
Yeah.
wild.
I think
just-
if you're her mom, yeah, you can, which is
Yeah.
messed up.
I mean,
I
if you're
wanna
on the
point out
account,
I just
yeah.
want to point out the fact that in this movie, the fact that the stepdad, who is not in the picture, is the good guy. I mean, given everything else going on, that's a weird one.
Yes. Yeah.
That's rare.
So I want to bring it back to this question of the R of the rating, PG versus
Yeah.
R, PG-13 versus R, and I'll go to you, Travis. Was there anything in this film you picked out that you would say, same film, if this was released today, this would be an R?
I think the elf rape at the end of the movie, probably stands out as being a bit R rated
R-worthy.
worthy. Yeah,
Yeah,
R-worthy.
I think
it looked, the thing is, it
sexual
wasn't
assault.
super graphic. It was more like an elf nuzzle.
Mm,
We don't know how they reproduce. Maybe it was like just a skin on skin contact, a little temperature regulation for the
Frank
small
getting
baby
shot
man.
in the head though. That was pretty gruesome, even though only implied. Like, we didn't see it happen. It was like gun to the girl's head.
Oh,
shot
yeah.
to Grizzly Adams with a gunshot. You're like, oh geez, she's dead.
Ooh.
And then cut to her minute later, her friend opening the elevator and her body just lying there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was surprisingly gruesome. So I don't know how that didn't. Censors were like, yeah, it's cool.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Girl in
Liz,
lingerie with her head blown off. Yeah.
the final one. So Liz, anything we haven't covered other than the smoking, the fucks, the nudity, the rape, anything else in this film you thought would make it a rated R today?
I mean, I was just gonna generally say the incest.
I'm gonna say the
probably.
incest.
The
Yeah,
incest.
that's
Yeah,
like
the
come
incest.
there. That's an easy one.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I had. The fucks, the smoking, the nudity, the incest, the rape. Which I think the violence
got
is
'em
cool.
all.
I think we're
Yeah.
still cool with violence. I think the violence would still be PG-13, maybe
Because
even
you don't
PG.
see any of it directly. Although the cat
Yeah.
murder might be.
Yeah.
That-
Oh, yeah,
ah,
yeah.
Cat murder is probably rough. Yeah.
the cat murder.
Because you're showing
Um,
something that's you can recreate. A kid could watch that and learn to drown his
And
cat.
think, oh,
that
I'm
way.
gonna put my cat in a pillowcase and drown in the
that's messed up.
toilet.
But
And you
also-
typically only see animal death in our movies, like
Yeah.
John Wick and things like
Yeah.
that, where that's kind of a catalyst. But it's
Did
like
I Am Legend
don't-
get it for him having to choke the dog out?
I think that was a PG-13. I'm guessing.
they-
I don't think that was R-rated.
I'm
It was
pretty sure
consensual
it's
choking.
PG-13.
But I think there's a difference between like that was like a very hard for him to do mercy
Yeah.
killing. This was
Zombie
just like a
dog killing.
cold-blooded murder.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was really surprised, sort of towards the end when the mom gets electrocuted, because they were showing that she had just confessed what happened to the daughter with the incest, and then she goes up to take a bath, and they keep cutting to her, and she's like putting on lipstick very manically, and I kept
Just having a
thinking that
moment.
they were setting it up that she was going to take a bath and then kill herself with the the
Mhm.
toaster or whatever, the radio. But then she ends up, I mean, getting murdered by this elf. And I was surprised that, it wasn't her that was planning to kill herself, that it ended up being a murder. So
Yeah, that sort of dilutes the whole elf protecting the virtue of his bride to be or whatever, his incubator, by it killing her mother. Because like the mother wasn't gonna taint the
yeah,
family, like the
Right.
genetics. So
Well, she's in the same bloodline. Like, couldn't she be a backup in case
Right.
Yeah.
something
Pretty
Not a
happens to
virgin.
tainted
Kirsten?
though.
She's already done it once.
Yeah, she's already
yeah,
done
she's
one.
not a virgin,
It-
so she
or
can't
twice
unlock
even.
she can't unlock the magic.
Yeah.
That's true.
But she's
Yeah.
also not a harm to Kirsten's purity. So it really just clouded that whole storyline for me.
Yeah.
I'm
And I
sorry that
think
was such
they
a
could have
sticking point for you,
Yeah, I
Liz,
think they
yeah.
could have made a different direction. And
That was a creative choice that I found questionable. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it really diluted the
Yeah.
story they were trying to tell.
What story are they trying to tell?
Fucking
That
know.
Nazis are
Nazi-
bad.
Nazi,
That-
yeah,
I think
yeah.
the
That
key-
virginity unlocks Nazi magic.
I
Yeah.
think that the key
So no one be virgins.
takeaway from the movie is that around Christmas, incest is magical.
Ew.
And will
Only if
bring
you're a
us the
19-year-old
Antichrist.
German virgin.
Yeah, just to make the Ubermensch, no, that's a man,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
Uber Fraulein.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But they were saying but it wouldn't be their offspring. It wouldn't be elf or human.
No,
Right.
it would
Be
be a
something
super
else.
soldier.
It'd be something else.
that's how
Captain
Captain America was born.
I'm so curious in the 80s or maybe earlier, like when did the Nazi occult storyline, like as like a plot point, start getting used in movies? Like I know Indiana Jones obviously kind of probably did it best, but like did before that, like does anyone remember any other like 70s or 80s films where they used like
When did they decide to make Nazis
yeah.
witches?
yes, that's the
But
good
that's all,
question.
honestly, like historically, Hitler was really into the occult. That's
Yeah.
like a
I think
regular thing.
I think there's a kernel of
Yeah.
There's a lot
truth
of like
there.
there was a lot
Historical
of
yeah.
the Third Reich that was spent looking for, obviously the Ark of the Covenant and all that sort of stuff, but other weird shit.
He's
There's
nuts
like
on the subject.
So
super nuts.
all right, so we're thinking that maybe the first people that brought this to light was like U.S. Army propaganda that was like, oh, he's into the occult. We can use that for like Middle America to be like, hey, he's into Satan. You gotta watch out, the Nazis. And that's how we're
That
getting
kinda
Middle
fit-
America, who's kind of still racist and a little bit of a xenophobic, but we could get him on the Nazi thing, or the Satan thing.
But we
Yeah,
were
well,
torn because they're like, well, we're not supposed to like Nazis, but eugenics sounds great. So what are we going with here?
We
Yeah.
want pure people. We like the blondes. We're into the Aryans. But yeah, I think you're right. Like with the Raiders of the Lost Ark, in terms of when does that get incorporated as a plot point in films, and it fits in because 80s were like big. If you weren't around, there was like satanic panic. They
Yeah.
called
Oh
it.
yeah.
Everyone was wearing like heavy metal and Dungeons and Dragons and all this stuff was, Satanism, and Satan was going to come take your children. So I could see they like kind of,
Cool.
because Hollywood does work for the government, or
Yeah, that's why they
or
had
the
to have the
government runs
Nazis
Hollywood.
doing
So
Yeah.
So that everyone would be watching this movie like, hell yeah.
yeah,
Hell
so
yeah,
like we know
Nazis.
people like the Nazis, but we want to turn them against Satan. How can we do that? And we're like, all right,
With
Nazi
this
occult
movie.
film with this
with
movie
this movie.
with Grizzly Adams.
Yeah, I've never
Um,
seen Satan seem so uncool as in this movie.
Then you have to come down to the subtext of like a small dark man is coming to impregnate your blonde teens.
Mm.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Wow.
can we
Kind
Kind
talk
of the
about
opposite
why
of
they called
King
him an-
Kong.
Can we,
Yeah,
can
the
we talk
opposite.
about why they went with elf for this creature? It's not an elf, is
Is
it?
that, but is
It's a
that
little
like-
goblin man. Is it like-
Technically, well, they even the professor says, oh, we call them elves, but it's really, some sort of creature that
Yeah.
Noah brought on the ark.
But is this way to like do the Christian tie-in, because Christmas, the overt like imagery is like Santa Claus and elves, and they're
Gave
trying to be
birth.
like weird. No birth giving. No birth giving.
Well,
But, like
that's what
Mary did it
Christmas is
immaculately. I'm just saying, Mary did it
about.
immaculately.
so yes.
I've
Well,
heard.
and
Wait.
so like this is sort of like in another immaculate conception, because this is
Yeah,
another
this is
being
very-
that crawled
Yeah.
out of the ground. This
But
is
you're
a
saying
ground
it's supposed to
impregnation.
be the
Kirsten is the
Antichrist.
Virgin Mary.
It's supposed to be the Antichrist, yeah.
It's just said like a perfect, like the ultimate human,
Yeah,
or
they
the
threw it
ultimate
all.
race.
Christ.
The master
Yeah.
race, I believe, is what they call it.
It's like new Coke, but new Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it. I don't want
It's
it.
like
That's what everybody said about new Coke.
I
too.
prefer old Christ, but we could try new Christ.
So
prefer
Niall,
Buddy Christ.
obviously, Niall wanted to be here, could not make it, but he did write a little note here. He wanted us to get a point across, and I hope Sean will eventually add him into this clip. But going from the religious professor of a man of faith to the scientific professor, a man of science, at his family's turkey carving, to just straight up like off the top of the dome throws at Grizzly Adams like, well, here's the elf theory.
Here's two theories.
I just love it. I thought, well, I was waiting for them to enter a study, and he's like, no, I can do this. Boom, I can do this right from the front of the table. I got
Pardon
this.
me, mid curfy
This
target.
electric turkey carver cannot be left unattended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta
Once
think
you
about
start, it must carve turkey, or it
Because
will
those
carve your soul
wild children
instead.
sitting there, they were going to grab the knife, and like you never know what could happen.
I think they casted two girls and did not cast a wife, so that's like they never cut farther right of the table than the wine glass.
You have
Like,
to
just-
pay
okay.
adults.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
and I
the father
wonder-
and two kids, and like, we'll do it right here. We'll bang this out.
Well, it was funny because I was wondering. So in the credits, there's someone credited as O'Connor's wife, as Professor
Oh,
O'Connor's
That's
wife.
all right. They cut her.
Wow.
They cut her out.
But I'm like,
how
we
much
don't-
of
we
this
just
movie
see
do you
the
think was
kids.
cut out
Where's the
versus
wife
made to
cut?
the screen?
Where's the wife?
90%. 90%.
I bet she was
'cause
really integral to the plot too.
And do you like okay?
That's
So
why
on,
we're all so confused.
on
She
the
was going
topic
to
of
unlock the
editing,
mystery of who that kid's father was.
Yeah.
Do you
was
think
probably
this
her.
was on the topic of editing? Do you think this movie was just shoot everything and we'll figure out a story later, or was it we have so little money that we can only shoot at the very speaking to the lack of money, just at top of my head, the scene in the bathtub with the mom, they do the scene where they're like, okay, here you are, you're getting in the bathroom, you're naked, now you're in the bathtub, and they kept having a scene cut down where you could see a bright pink flowered like one-piece bathing suit that she was wearing in the thing, not a
'cause
flesh
it's a body
tone one,
double. The naked
but like
lady's
a
a body
full-
double.
but a full bright pink bathing suit for her modesty while they're shooting this scene. They
Yeah.
couldn't afford anything skin toned. They're like, just bring what you got.
Just pretty much.
We'll get enough bubbles. Oh shit, the bubbles have.
Yeah.
We don't have any more bubble bath.
We're all out of bubbles.
I'm convinced that everybody was either on drugs or drunk when they were editing this movie. It's the only way
It
can
seems
make
like they were making
sense.
3 movies, and someone said, let's just put all these movies together.
Yeah.
I think
Gotta
they
wo-
had 3 days, and they were like,
Yeah.
whatever we get in 3 days, that's what we have money for.
Because you have a horny witch, slasher movie. You've got a Nazi science movie, and then I guess I don't.
A
maybe
Christmas,
Grizzly
a
Adams
heartwarming
finding
Christmas
Christmas
movie,
tale.
yeah.
Finding the true meaning
Dan
of Christmas.
Haggerty is playing detective.
It feels like one cut of this movie ended at the department store shootout. It really feels like, because it feels like we're building to something, like everyone's shooting. There's an elf. People are dying. And like, because I'm waiting for like the next thing to happen, and it's just like night's over. Everyone goes their separate ways, and we start the next day.
And then we
I
get
was
a
like-
car explosion.
Yeah, I was like, man, this movie just keeps
Remember
going.
that? Remember
Yeah.
the car explosion?
It's
And
just
what-
like, oh, I'm fumbling with a cigarette lighter and find a
Pulls
bomb.
brick of explosives out of his glove box. Like, is that always
That's
there?
right.
Did you
Yeah.
acquire that for this
Huh?
event? Do you just
This, ain't,
is
this
it-
isn't mine.
Is that
At
just
first, I
just a
thought-
safety kit?
At first, I thought he put that bomb there and then jumped out, and then I realized
Nice.
again the quality of what I watched was hard to kind of see what was going
Yeah.
on. But I thought that's initially what I thought, that he rigged his own car to blow so that he could now like be a
Is that not
detective
what
a little
happened?
more freely. No, the
He, like,
Nazis
he was-
I think
He was
rigged his car to blow up,
I
because
thought
as soon
it
as the
was-
car blew up, then he started fighting Nazis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I thought he did it so that he could get behind the Nazi. The Nazi would go inspect his dead body. He could get behind him and, go sucker punch him.
I think
thought
there's easier
that-
ways to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that
I
was
kind
just
of
his
assumed it
glove
was the
box
Nazis as
C4.
well, but it's not clear. I have a feeling
Yeah.
this is in the spirit of a Roger Corman or an Ed Wood,
Mhm.
going back to like I couldn't find anything on the budget, but in terms of like, is there stuff that was cut out? No. Everything they shot is in the film.
It's going
And
in.
every
Use it
take,
all.
they used it all. Like I have a
Yeah.
feeling this is like,
Yeah.
this was done in 3 days. This was a quick hit.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't think there was a lot of extra stuff to leave on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, but I don't understand why they didn't take the part after the the shootout that was in the mall and put it after the explanation of the Nazis. Like a further explanation. Like switch that around, because we had that huge bombastic shootout with the mom guns. And then they decide to explain a little bit more about what's actually going on with all these Nazis and why is the elves, what's happening here. They could have
Well,
put
then
that first.
yeah. Well, in the middle of that, the shootout at the store, like they're like one guy's like, don't shoot, you might hit the Virgin. And then they just start shooting again.
Yeah,
Like that's just kind of a line thrown
They
in
were
that everyone
a lot of
immediately
ammo
just-
and speed loaders. They were like, because those revolvers, they were
man.
just like, quick it up, more guns. Just like
He just had his pockets of that trench coat. There was inner
Yeah.
pockets just all the way
I-
down to
I
the
like the fact
line
that
with
this-
loaded
this-
revolvers.
This teenage girl in the middle of this gunfight who is terrified. She's also wearing store-bought athletic wear for no real reason.
Because it was
She just
sexy.
reaches into the gun cabinet, pops open a cylinder, does a little thing, closes it, and then he takes the gun and starts shooting again, as if she has lots of firearms
Her
training.
grandpa trained her. She's Nazi trained from a very young
He's
age.
not- yeah.
What, did you teach her
She
weapons
had to be
handling?
prepared for her destiny. How do you
That's right.
produce a super soldier child if you don't know how to load a gun?
She went to Nazi youth camp.
the gun was
Oh,
unloaded
Nazi.
too. I couldn't get over that. She checked it, and you can look down the barrels. You go, those are empty cylinders. Closes it, and in the same shot, Grizzly Adams takes it, starts firing. I'm like, you don't do that. Like, yeah.
Well,
like,
she
no
wasn't
one
trying to do an Alec Baldwin. I'll give him that.
Yeah, she did not want her to.
I was just gonna say, Jesus Christ, so much movie. This movie's not safe. This movie's not safe.
Unsafe
But
at
they
any
got
speed.
that part right.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
I also think the idea is, and this is partially my bias because when I first read the description of the movie, this is what I thought it was. I thought that Grizzly Adams was actually Santa Claus.
Same.
I
wish
also
he
I
was.
I was
That would have
hoping
been
for
yeah.
that. I wanted him to be Santa
Actual
Claus.
Santa
It was just
Claus.
kind of like, well, this is Christmas. I have to solve crimes.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, walking amongst the hoi polloi type vibe. I
Detective
thought that, and
Santa
that's-
fights the Nazis?
That's what I wanted.
If
That's
there
what
could
I
be
thought it
magical
was.
dirt elves coming from Nazi magic, why can't Santa be real?
Oh my!
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we got to do with those John
That's-
Travolta Capital One
yeah.
commercials, where he's walking around. Has everyone seen this? He walks
Yeah.
around town giving out Christmas cheer and buying stuff on sale. And like, I'd be like, take that costume. I love it. Put it. Yeah. Now he's like, now he fights crime. Do it.
Wait
Sell
a
it.
minute. Wait a minute. Maybe he was Santa because it did snow at the end of the movie.
And he
But the
did get
last-
shot and was
Oh.
still alive.
Yeah, the last time we saw him, he was just on the floor being like, I know you're looking for the crystal, but here's the crystal. I know, I was looking for that.
Why did you take
Take it
it?
to your
was fine
sister,
where it
Take
was.
it. It was on the stand. I was going to grab it. I'm a child.
Can't let my sister's big hot tits go to waste.
Go save your sister's tits.
There's a shortage of perfect breasts in the world.
Oh, don't taint that movie with this. Don't you dare.
And I said, once again, I am still hung up with the Nazi at the end is like, oh, don't worry, I'm not hurting you. This
Yeah.
is all going to play. I'm like, buddy, we don't know you, and you've been
Yeah.
trying to kill us.
Yeah.
And
I've
then
been
he
killing
gets
everyone
shot,
around me for the last hour.
and he gets shot. You're like, oh, Grizzly Adams, he got up because it's been 20 minutes.
Right.
Like
That's
he
what I
had to
thought
go-
too.
No, the elf shot him, and I'm like, that's weird, right?
That's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're an elf with a gun, you're just as dangerous as anyone with a gun.
Yeah.
It's just and like and then why isn't there footage of the elf like checking the mag, like this gun's been fired a lot, checks the slide on a 40s Luger, so it's familiar with old weaponry, and it's like, I'm gonna shoot him now. Where am I, an elf?
Oh, we get
They
a scene
should
where
like show the
does,
elf like
the-
watch.
Watching a
Go
He's
ahead.
got
YouTube
like an
video.
automatic, and he does the thing where he kind of lifts it up and slides it back. Just the
Yeah.
one-handed chamber
John
check.
Wick's it.
Yeah, it's like oh,
Elf
cool.
is checking the trees back and forth.
I want to mention my favorite line in this movie. It's No, Willie. Gramps is a Nazi.
Yeah.
Niall loves elves. The correction to the
Elves.
daughters. Elves are
Yeah,
here.
the door says elves. No, elves. All right, so that's a good king out. So let's go around and like what are your favorite lines from the film? Because there's so many great ones.
Liz, you're like, I have no idea.
I tried to forget it
yeah.
as much
Me
of this
too.
movie as I could.
I
The
know it's hard.
moment the credits roll.
There's Santa said oral.
Mm.
That's a great
Yeah.
line. The professor correcting his child, elves.
How about
The stuff with the professors was good.
Yeah,
with
but that
the-
might be mine. Like the whole scene where he's
Yeah.
like, expositioning what's going on with Nazis and elves.
top
Yeah.
of the dome
And
from the
eugenics,
Christmas
like,
table?
there's also this theory while he's still holding a still warm
Yeah.
turkey knife. I'm like, that entire
when-
exchange is,
I like
the
when
best
Grizzly
part of
Adams
the
goes
movie.
to the library and he's like, I need some information on the occult. And the librarian's like, that's section 666. He's like,
666.
you gotta be fucking
kidding me, right?
Yeah. Oh, you called a little small town.
And I love that because so in IMDb, that's the only goof listed. That's the only issue they could find with this film and list as a goof.
Otherwise,
That-
it's a perfect film. Yeah.
that in the Dewey Decimal System, 666 is actually ceramic and allied technologies.
Oh, well, how dare they make
Missed
such
it
a
by
mistake?
that much.
They
Missed
missed
it
the
by-
trick there.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
Is it
Al-
occult ceramic? And
yeah. So paranormal phenomenon is 170. Occult methods for achieving well-being is 131, and then parapsychology and occultism is 133.
Listen, none of those are fun numbers. We
None of
need
You
those
know
are-
what?
Yeah.
Listen. I'm right now years old when I realized the Dewey Decimal System works for every library the same way.
Yep.
It's not
same.
per library.
Sean, I'm so fucking
Yeah.
happy you looked at it. I did not know
your
that.
Dewey Decimal is the same as my Dewey Decimal.
I
had
thought
no
it was
idea.
like library
Jersey.
centric.
System
It's
did.
all-
Like it's a way of categorizing the books, but I thought it was just like the
Every
library.
book
stuff.
ever.
Every library, you're like, oh, what's your number for that? Yeah.
Where's Megan? Where's Megan?
Yeah,
Come
and we
in
need
here.
Megan
the-
on this.
She's on
Why
Megan
are
time.
they
She's 4
different?
hours behind.
I don't
our
know.
librarian
Oh, my
con-
goodness.
content.
I thought Santa Claus was in this movie. Yeah,
He
No, you know
was. He was just a chain
and I
smoking
was legitimately
detective.
disappointed when he wasn't.
No,
Yeah.
Johnny's right. We should have,
No,
It should have
Johnny's
been
right.
revealed.
It is Santa.
It is
It
Santa.
is
Okay.
Santa.
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah,
been the
Because
best
it
part.
snows at
Yeah.
the end, and
Yeah.
it couldn't possibly snow if that wasn't Santa.
In Colorado, which apparently where this was shot.
Yeah, so this was
Where
filmed in
no one
Colorado.
was wearing a coat.
the
whole
the
time.
end in December. So the end,
Well,
yeah, should have been
actually pump the brakes. Hold on a
Okay.
second. That's
Hold
actually
on.
pretty accurate because
People don't
you
wear
can do
coats.
that pretty regularly.
You can do that. Okay.
If it's actually snowy and cold, yes, wear a coat. Most of the time, it's light jacket weather at most.
What do you know?
There you go. Yeah.
Secret.
Let's keep a coat in the car,
Yeah,
but
Yeah, why
between the
can't?
car and the building, who wants
yeah,
to lug
you're
a coat
probably
around?
fine. You're good. You're
You're
good.
good. You're good.
Sean, can I tell you one of my favorite lines?
Oh, please
Please-
do.
please, Dave.
Please do.
We didn't talk about it, and I thought I wrote it down on my notes. I was like, let me go through my notes here. It's like the 10, maybe 12-second scene between Abby and Brooke
Mhm.
after they've
Oh.
gotten outfit change. Way!
Yes,
No
yes.
way.
No
No.
way.
No way.
No way.
It's like, oh, they both
No,
got
I
dressed
forgot
up.
that happened. How dare you bring it back?
Way,
No.
Liz.
They just-
Way.
Way. Oh my God. Yeah, an actual way, no way discussion.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's where moments where I'm like, man, I tell you, every 10 seconds, the coked up writer guy
It
was
felt
just
really
like,
organic too, which was the best part.
yeah, he's just going
Yeah.
and just like burst of thought, no matter the genre, just like whatever the next line is, I'm writing it and just.
Okay, I think that's the moment last night when I was watching this the first time I blacked out after that
Ugh.
scene. And then I
Way?
I came
No
to
way.
with the mother's titties.
Way.
Because I was like literally I was explaining this to my partner and I was like, I literally don't know what happened except
That's a
I got
big
to
chunk
see
of the
titties.
movie, Johnny.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk.
No
Before I
wonder
looked
you
at the
didn't know what was
timer,
happening.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was going to be over. I was like, oh, this is enough plot to have to have a third act, the shootout. And it's like, oh, no, we're halfway.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the same thing. That the department store shootout feels like it should be like the climax.
But
And
it's
then
at
you're like,
minute,
wait,
it's like
there's,
minute 40, though. That's the problem.
there's
So
another
much shit has
45
happened.
minutes left to go.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like so I guess like there's a cop that shows up to like examine the dead bodies. They really only talk about like the girl's friends, Brooke and
Yeah.
Amy. Like There's like, but there was a literal shootout. Like,
Yeah,
the whole
fact
store
that
must be
this
wrecked.
was
Like,
not the climax of the movie is mind blowing. We've already talked
and then
about
you
this.
you don't see cops like the rest of the film. I mean, you kind of see with Sergeant DeSoto, and you see like, yeah. So I mean, you do see some cops, but like after that, then they're like gone. And then the mother's like, I guess the mother thinks everything's a joke. Like if on the first day when Kirsten comes home and's like, how was your day? Oh, Santa got murdered. And the mother's like, I don't think that's funny. Like, it wasn't supposed to be funny. And then later she's like, yeah, oh, I talked to the cops. It turned out you were telling the truth about your friends getting killed the other night.
Womp womp.
Listen,
Womp
nothing
womp.
surprises her. Her dad's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Her grandfather dad.
Yeah, the cops are like,
grandfather
don't
dad.
leave town, but we're not going to have a tail on you to investigate all the Nazis that are trying to kill you.
Just
Don't deal with
everyone
Nazis.
remember, this is George's fault.
Yeah, this is George's fault. I do think a good ending, like going back to if Grizzly Adams was actual Santa Claus, I think a good ending would have been if he flies off, if it's the reindeer pulling the trailer that he got evicted from. His little trailer is now the sled getting pulled by the reindeer.
Yeah. But you could just have some sleigh bells
down the street.
But you can't convince me that he wasn't, because the whole time he was talking about how he needed to take care of his Santa stuff. So like when he got put on his Santa, he was like, I just need to take care of my reindeer. Like stuff like that.
I'm
like,
Santa. All I need to do is take care of my
And
reindeer.
she called him that. He said, call me Mike or something.
She only called him Santa.
And she kept calling him Santa.
Right, yeah, because when they see him, when the girls are doing their illicit sleepover in the store and they see that he's there, they're like, hey, it's Santa.
Yeah.
I think when he joins the firefight, she's like, oh, Santa, like in her moment of desperation, calls him Santa too. So
this is like the what was it, like the night the reindeer died, whatever, the movie in the beginning of Scrooged.
Yeah, God.
with a $6 million man. It's Santa's in a shootout. Yeah. There's another great line going back to that scene, with Grizzly Adams, just before the I'm Santa, all I need to do is take care of my reindeer. Just before that, when he's talking to the chalk outline, he's like, life's a bitch, Eddie. First you're Santa, then you die. So maybe there's like a Santa Claus thing like working here, where like he just, like, I don't know, like, because he, like, Eddie was the real Santa and then he took over the suit from him.
Whoever sleeps in the department store room takes on the powers of
That's the Santa Claus mythology.
There's no way. I refuse to believe that the original Santa in this movie was blowing lines.
Real Santa. Yeah.
Was a real Santa.
You don't think,
I agree.
That's the only snow he knew how to make.
Right. But I like the little thing. So then after when Eddie snuffs it and they're investigating, they show a cop is sampling, taking a sample of Santa's Coke there.
God. It's the 80s, whatever.
He's a cop. He doesn't have a big salary.
That guy and that detective felt like he was doing his best Gary Busey vibe.
Yeah.
Like that's like whoever can do the best Gary Busey, you're in. Sean, look at these Art Deco boobs I drew.
Yeah, what was
drawing? I forgot about this drawing. Oh my god. This movie was really bad, guys.
Yeah. PSA to everybody listening to this podcast: don't watch this movie. Definitely don't watch it twice.
Watch it's Elves 1989. It's on YouTube.
There's only one elf, by the way.
There's only that's the most disappointing.
Not
thing.
if you count the like in utero shot we get at the end of the movie and the little heartbeat.
I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
It's like does she, doesn't she, whatever. It's like the entire credits are rolling over an ultrasound of a uterus.
Yeah.
Filled with elf baby, and you're wondering whether or not the 10 minutes her brother left her alone were enough for him to do his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Set up for the sequel.
Yeah.
It's so funny. She crawled to the hole. And like the elf is just following, like, oh, where we going? We're going over here.
Elf crawled to the hole too, Dave.
Just slurs him. He's like, wait, what did you say? She just slams the crystal into the hole in the ground. And I think the only sober guy was the guy in the editing booth with the footage left. And they're like, we got to make like a big storm is happening.
Yeah.
We don't have any footage of that.
Swirl everything.
He's just like, all right, I'm gonna melt the VHS a bit to see if we can get that.
put my cigarette on.
And I
Also-
had that playing in 1.5 times speed, and it still took forever to
Yeah.
get through that
Yeah.
whole like whirling, swirling.
Also, do you think that her putting together what she needed to do with the drawing, that she came from her own mind, was just a shining example of post-nut clarity?
Yeah, it was like cup. I'm like, I was like, cup blood? Is that? Am I getting like? It felt like very like I was Indiana Jones. The cup means the blood, and the crystal and the stone.
Just
and
don't look into this movie too much. Please don't read into it that much. It's really not that deep.
Well, the thing is that when hell is full, the elves will walk
Yes.
the earth.
Yeah.
I love that little callback to.
Are they
Yeah,
zombies or is this an antichrist? I'm so
Right.
confused.
Listen, I know this had some ups and downs, but I personally think more holiday movies should have more incest. Hallmark, you're missing a trick.
Right.
But Folgers is right there.
Folgers, they're on it.
Folgers
Yeah,
is
they're on it.
God.
And we still talk
that's
about
all we
it.
need. So they show, they show like the carton of Camels that Grizzly Adams
Yes.
is smoking. So all they need to show is that the coffee he's drinking is Folgers to kind of
Yeah.
complete the.
We need Lacey Chabert and a step snowman.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's been a real rough
no.
year for holiday movies for me. This is why I don't podcast. I don't watch movies.
This is why I don't watch movies or podcasts. Yeah, I will say. So I do think one of the things we've talked about in the previous holiday specials we've done for Next Scene Pod is kind of the idea of holiday traditions and TV specials and movies that you watch, year after year.
This is one now.
And
No.
I think this got better. I've seen this film 3 times from start to finish. The first time I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. What the heck? Like, it's just Nazi incest. That's kind of like, I didn't know. The second time I'm like, okay, I can kind of follow along. The third time I'm like, I think I'm starting to like this movie. Like, I think if you watch
Sean
this
is broken, and it's George's fault.
I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
called Stockholm Syndrome, Sean.
Is that what it is? I think you could watch this movie
You've
every
become
year.
to identify with
This
your
could
cat.
be
No, I'm lucky my relationship survived watching it once.
Listen, if this becomes a new tradition for you, you're not going to have a home anymore. I would personally kick
You're
the
not gonna-
person out if this was
Well,
a
that's why he's
genuine
living in
watch.
Jarf's room right now.
That's I'm gonna end
Actually,
up
that's
sleeping
the
in a
interior
department
of his
store.
trailer.
Yeah, interior of my trailer. I'm about to get evicted
Sean's gonna
from.
figure out the rules around getting evicted from a field
Tell us
trailer.
how, Sean. Tell us how it works.
I will say my partner Catherine is
The breadwinner and can kick you out.
Well,
and
yes,
put you in a
one-
field
yes,
trailer.
She took his
she's-
savings. He's gone.
She's definitely the breadwinner in the family, but she is so quick. She picks up on like the twists. And she walked in. She wasn't watching this with me because she doesn't do this sort of thing.
She's smart.
She's
Yeah,
smart,
she's
yeah.
smart.
She got
But-
things to do.
She walks in and it's the scene where where Kirsten's like, "Oh, I want to see your father," and then the mother's like, "Well, you need to go to the library," and then like right away, Catherine, my partner, she's like. She goes into the Chinatown. She's my daughter. She's my sister. Like, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm a little slow. Like, it takes me a couple watches to pick up on those things. But yeah, like even like before the mother even said it, like she picked it up right away. Like the incest thing
Well,
that
the
was
friends
going on.
knew too because
The friends did
were-
say like,
the
"Is
friends
it your
were like-
stepmother?" Yeah.
Or
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
she awfully young to be your mother?
Mother,
She had me when she's 16. Shut up, guys.
shut up.
Like, yeah, that's the weird part.
That's the weird part. She's so young. Here's
Here's the thing. The problem is, Sean, is that this movie, regrettably, is a Christmas movie. 'Cause it takes place
this is
during
definitely a Christmas movie. Now, I want to say, so talking of looking into it and looking way too far into it, I didn't know this, but apparently, so this was filmed, I don't know where it takes place, but it was filmed in Colorado Springs, Colorado, USA, which is apparently a hotbed of film production, or at least it was in the like late 80s, early 90s. You're looking into like the writer, the director, and the actors, like there's like a bunch of films coming out all around the same time from mostly the same group, all done in Colorado Springs, which makes me even more think that it's a Roger Corman situation where like he probably filmed, like he probably made the writer director, the main guy, where's his name? Writer director Jeffrey Mandel only has like a handful of other movies at IMDb.
No, I'm shocked.
I know you're shocked, but like they're all like there's like 3 of them. They all came out in 1989, and they're all filmed in Colorado Springs. So I'm like thinking like they probably did it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Dude got a camcorder for Christmas and was like, "Let's go."
I'd be surprised if we saw these other movies and saw scenes from this cut into that, and scenes from other stuff cut into this.
Same.
Because he just like put them all in a pot, like just make what you got.
Yeah. So one of the other films he worked on was I guess it's Cyber Chic, but it's C period H period I period C period. And the description in IMDb is a cybernetic agent is assigned to break up a drug smuggling ring.
Boy, I bet the production on that is terrible.
How much incest is in it?
They could, they're like, we got like 3 parts of
just a little incest
out of the RoboCop outfit.
And so Cyber Chic is also known as Robo Chic. And that's like the main character is the cyborg, is the robo. Well, I'm not sure if it's chic or chick, CHIC. But I bet
they spelled chick wrong. I bet they thought that's what they were going
for. Probably meant to be chick.
I just thought of the best nickname burn they could have put in this movie to call Dan Haggerty's character in the beginning, Hobo Cop.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Topical, applicable, perfect.
Sean, I have a question. I'm sorry, but the third time you watched it, did you? I need you to figure this out for me. When the girls said we're gonna call ourselves the Masters Without Slaves, and then the one girl didn't get it, and like, you don't get it, and I'm like, I don't get what.
I don't get it either.
So Sean, can you tell me what the Masters Without Slaves is like? What does that mean?
That's a callback to an earlier line when during the first anti-Christmas seance thing that they were doing in the woods.
Okay.
Kirsten says, "We're girls, we're the master race."
All right.
So I think that's like I think that's like a Nazi reference to say like they're like master race type thing. That's what I think that is. Yeah. So then later when she says like Masters Without Slaves, which I don't really get it either, but I think the master thing is a reference to the master race, which is a reference to the.
This is
the
alarming
because they want to be masters, but they don't want to be bad people.
Yeah, they want to be in charge.
They are masters without
humans.
Slaves.
No, she was indoctrinated into Nazi culture, like without realizing she was a Nazi.
But she also doesn't want to be seen as a bad person. So she's a master, but not a slave.
That tells us the hard line of the writer, who was, well, incest's cool,
slavery
human trafficking bad.
Yeah, we got to draw the line somewhere.
I would have loved to have a security footage CCTV of like the theater that played this. Like just watching like people walking out, and, like how fast they start going, like who's at the end, and like they're squinting, they're like leaning forward in the seat trying to make sense of like the wobbliness, like after she threw the stone in the hole. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Now, aside from Santa Claus being actually in this movie, which sadly not, what's one thing you would change to make this better?
Burn the film.
Not watching it.
Okay, we have a salt the earth policy, understood. But like, if that weren't the possibility, if it already exists on the internet, it's not going to go anywhere. It lives forever. What's one topic?
I got it.
One thing you would change?
Yeah.
All the victims of the elf, like in Alien, they all give birth to elves.
Okay, spawn more. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Spawn more elves.
I like that.
I would at least had like some kind of happy ending for Grizzly Adams. The fact that he just like dies in the house underneath the table is kind of like.
Well, we never see his body.
They spent all the money on the happy ending
breath.
for the elf.
He's such a second lead that like I love your idea of using the like, oh, he actually was Santa and his thing turns into a sleigh. I love that, but if we don't have the budget for it, just something. If like he finds them in the woods and he's like, I'm okay, let's get out of here. Like I would feel a little bit better about the ending.
Rides off.
Or his stolen BMW turns into a sleigh.
Sure, happy. Yeah.
So actually, I have a way you can rewrite this. It's almost the same movie, and there's no Nazis and there's no incest. So this is what I'm not
interested at all.
I know. I know it ruins it for George, but
is it just Elf with Will Ferrell?
Pretty much. No. So what you do, make the grandpa an elf hunter. So he's an elf hunter from the old country. Because
Okay.
why? And that explains why they live near these woods that he doesn't want the daughter to go into. So
Okay.
he's guarding the grave of the elf, or the hibernating elf. And there's references, they make references throughout the movie, like, oh, this is the worst murder here for 50 years. And there's something happened 50 years ago that they keep referencing. So 50 years ago, the elf pops up. Grandpa can't kill the elf, but he like puts him in hibernation and buries him in the woods. And that's why the grandpa's there, to guard the elf and make sure no one brings him back. Then the daughter, then it's like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer situation. So the granddaughter there's no incest. The granddaughter is actually the granddaughter, but she's like the last of the bloodline of these elf hunters. And that's why she's attracted to the elf, and that's why she's dreaming, because she's supposed to kill the elf. But then the Nazis, they're just regular guys from the old country. They're misreading the prophecy. There's like some prophecy that like a woman will bring destruction, and they're traditionalists. So they think the elf hunters have to be men, that if a woman tries to kill the elf, that like she'll get raped and she'll give birth to this elf human hybrid and destroy the world, when they're misreading the prophecy. The prophecy is actually that only a woman can kill the elf. The problem is they've only been using men from the bloodline, and they can only put the elf into hibernation. They can't kill it, which is why the grandfather has to guard the woods. But the daughter, or the granddaughter, she's able to kill the elf. And it's the misreading of the prophecy is why the other guys from the old country are trying to stop her.
I love
And that
this.
explains everything, with no Nazis
Sean-
and no incest.
Sean, you've watched this movie too much.
I don't know
Yeah.
that that's really that much
That
better.
is,
Sean.
yeah. See, this is the
Also-
argument to remake movies, like remake like bad
Yes.
ones with like a new twist. And I'm like, you put Harrison
Yes.
Ford as the hunter, so it's an allusion to Indiana Jones.
Oh,
You
yeah.
make Sophie Turner the new character because everyone loves, like, she's a new scream queen. And yeah, get rid of the weird incest stuff. Now, do we make a character actually Santa? Like, is Gerald
Yes.
Butler going to be
Yes.
Santa in this remake?
Yes, Santa has to
Yes.
be here.
Okay,
Yes,
so,
an
so
actual
he is
Santa
actually
Claus.
Santa. We hint it, but then we confirm at the end. We actually show him
Yeah.
on the slide. Okay,
Like
Yeah,
I'm
every
in.
sitcom in the 90s that had a Santa episode,
Yeah.
where it's like the kid runs to the window and they just see, either hear sleigh
Yeah.
bells
The
and
sleigh.
see something,
Oh
Twinkle
no,
in the
we'll do a
sky.
John
Yeah.
Travolta. He comes right from the Capital One commercial.
Yeah,
Bloody
yeah.
Santa.
So he has the outfit for the end scene, the epilogue. When we
My
hint at, like, the
change
sequel.
is
I haven't seen this commercial, so I keep picturing
Yeah.
John
It's-
Travolta
it's
from
out
Pulp
there.
Fiction.
I'll send it to her. I'll send it to her. I'll find it.
Santa with a Santa hat on.
my change is so much simpler, and still will let us have Buffy the Vampire Slayer in a few years, because if we make it the way Sean, the IP is ruined. So we won't have Buffy the Vampire Slayer. My whole thing is just replace the elf with Hermie
Okay.
and keep everything the same.
Gotcha.
Oh my
no,
god.
yeah, that works. That works.
That's it.
Keep him as a claymation
Yeah,
thing. like an
claymation,
animated. Okay.
Yep. That's you do that. So he's got
Who is Hermie?
maybe Hermie is the dentist elf
misfit
from
dentist elf.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh,
I'm
Jesus
into it now.
Christ.
All
I
right,
felt
Yeah,
that. Like, I, was
Hermie.
like, I don't know this. So
Yeah, that Hermie.
you
How
for
many other Hermies
clarifying.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so you
don't,
replace
man.
it
I
with
don't.
that.
That's why I had to
that's
ask.
on me.
Yeah.
That's on me.
Keep all the visuals the same, everything's the same, but you have an actual elf who is, it's an IP tie-in. You get
Is
the
it weirder-
Rudolph the Red-Nosed crowd over watching this movie.
That
It's
might
good.
be weirder. That might be
Yeah.
weirder. Hermie like chasing after the
Yeah, I think I might have
granddaughter,
actually, but I
daughter.
would have appreciated that.
Oh no.
It would have added an element to it that I think would really have paid
It
off.
would have
in the
added
end.
an element.
Hermie with a
element, for
snake
sure.
knife stabbing teenage girls. Like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
could watch the claymation
Yeah.
version of the movies anymore.
What if he did it via magic?
Oh,
Okay,
and what
magic
if
is better.
I would like
I like
his
the
magic,
knife,
the murders to be magic.
but what if all of his
Yes.
kills were dental themed?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, let me check your molars.
Then he's a psychopath.
Yeah, a
Serial
serial
killer.
killer.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
that's a good reference to Marathon Man with the Nazi being the
See?
dentist.
Yeah,
that
see,
works.
tying
That works.
together.
We fixed
Everything's
it.
connected.
We
All
fixed
ties
it,
in.
Just
everybody.
Hermie.
I lived in the wrong decade.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I
I
was
d-
alive when this movie came out, so I kind of was there.
I-
Could've
I
stopped
wanna-
it.
I was
I
not on the
wanna
creative
mention-
team.
I want to mention another movie that would make a good double feature with this
No.
Elves.
Oh
So
my
another
God.
one of
No.
those movies that was made was shot in Colorado Springs. There's some of the same writers, a lot of the same actors. There's a lot of overlap, and almost the same plot. There's a film called Alien Seed, filmed in Colorado Springs from 1989, starring Eric Estrada. And here's the summary from IMDb. An alien impregnates an Earth woman so she can deliver an alien messiah that will rule the world.
Oh my
A
God.
newspaper reporter finds out what's going on and sets out to stop it. So you just replace alien with Nazi and newspaper reporter with Santa.
Yeah.
It's the same. You know, that's Elves.
How many of these movies were made where somebody just got impregnated to make a master race of something else? Like how many of these movies?
Johnny, a lot.
A lot.
Oh my
A lot.
God.
80s were a crazy
That's
time.
the only way for women to have any
It's
sort
just
of
yeah. Oh,
integral
you have
part in the
power
story.
because you're
I'm
birthing.
so glad I wasn't alive during this.
Yeah. It explains a lot about Gen X. That's why we turned out. And this was PG-13. Our parents we'd be in middle school and our parents would just drop us off at the mall and say, we'll see you in 5 hours. And, we'd
Here's
see
money
movies
for a
like
movie.
this. Yeah.
I think my mom would commit me if I came home and said, "Oh, I went to see this movie today at the mall with my
Oh,
friend."
don't worry, it was a Christmas movie.
It was a Christmas movie. Yeah.
Even still,
Well, how much Nazi incest was there in it? Oh, just a little
It's not
bit.
Just
Christmas
not
without
much.
Nazi family.
Just
No.
enough.
Just the right amount.
Yeah.
Oh, the Nazi family Christmas.
I need to cleanse
Hallmark.
this movie from my brain.
Hallmark, get on
Hallmark
it.
is missing. There's just
Get on this.
perfect
Hallmark.
little genre for.
I'm with you, with you, Dave. And you said Hollywood keeps remaking great movies. No, don't remake, the classics. Remake the bad movies that have
Yeah,
a
make
spark.
them
Just
better.
like them better.
They make them better. Yeah.
Recycle this trash.
Yeah,
Recycle
I've had a whole
trash.
I've had a whole
Upcycle,
discussion with
upcycle.
people about since the Vinegar Syndrome's putting out The Keep in 4K. A lot of people have been thinking about The Keep is an interesting movie about Nazis versus supernatural, but it's very messy and very muddled and Ian what do you call it?
Kellen.
McKellen's in it and
Yeah.
Scott Glenn, but it kind of gets a little confusing near the end. And that's a movie that probably should get remade, but it's it'll never feel as ethereal as the original. And that's the problem. Is it needs to have that weird ethereal feeling. You can't have clean, crisp
They can have
CGI.
we still have Vaseline. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Smear that lens up real good.
Yeah.
that's So this is a movie that I like your pitch. He said we add a little bit of Russell Crowe or John Travolta as Santa Claus. I think we get a lot of people in there in the seats to see this.
Yeah. Yeah. Russell Crowe, definitely.
Yeah.
Modern
I mean,
day.
I feel boom, A24 can handle this thing and nobody's business. Be nice. Ooh, a little art house. Ooh, Elves come back in an art house film.
All right. So I think we're getting towards the end. I kind of want to wrap things up. I want to get back to that the looking too far into it thing, and I just want to mention a couple quick hits.
I just want to tell you about how far I've looked into it.
From a couple things from the.
Do you own the rights to this now, Sean?
Not the rights to the
They were surprisingly cheap. Really was amazing how little you can spend to get the rights to
Less than a
film
carton
from
of
the
Camels.
80s.
Are you going to offer us an investment opportunity? Is that what this is?
Ground floor of the remake. Yeah.
This is you can get in on the ground floor. You get executive producer credit.
Points on the back end.
Thank you for coming to my Kickstarter. We're gonna get. We've got the steel book. We're laying it out.
Oh, you got Dave.
Yeah.
Oh no!
You got Dave's money.
So I just want to mention. So the production. There's a lot of overlap. A lot of the films that in terms of people working on. So production designer Carrie Stewart worked on this. Also worked on Cyber Chic. Worked on Alien Seed. Also worked on a movie called Laser Moon, I think from 1990.
Laser Moon.
And the description
That's no
is
Laser Moon.
a radio DJ helps two police detectives hunt down a serial killer who kills women using a surgical laser instrument during every full moon. With the DJ, starring Tracy Lords as the radio DJ who's helping the
and
police
gratuitous
detectives.
nudity.
Hell
So
yeah.
it's quality.
Yeah.
Guy with a little pen laser. Oh,
little
tonight's
pen
the night I
laser.
kill. Oh, honey.
Also want to mention sculptor for the elf Ken Brilliant Also
That's
did
so brilliant.
uncredited work
Brilliant
on
job making an elf that can't
Brilliant.
close its mouth,
Ugh.
Ken.
Oh, oh.
Also worked on Batman Returns, so
Huh.
everything connected there. Also credited working, did work on Sharknado and a bunch of those sequels. So
Oh
That
God.
tracks.
That's some
been
pedigree.
brilliant. That career is
All right,
going
Ken,
brilliantly.
Ken put his time in.
The sharks close their mouths.
Joel
he learned
Schumacher's
something.
like, can you design a bat suit? Hey,
Yeah.
thumbs over to Elves. Does
Yeah,
that
Elves.
answer your
Yeah.
question?
Bat Elf.
Look at the legs on this thing.
And the last one I'll mention, just because the name is so perfect, and this guy has got one credit on IMDb. This is his only credit working on this film, credited for designing and constructing the crystal, the red crystal that the grandpa has. The guy's name is Phil Quartz.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So, if you need a crystal designed,
Yeah,
you
he
want Phil
owns-
Quartz. That's
He
the guy.
leaned in, and he definitely owns a shop somewhere in Denver or Colorado
Yeah.
Springs, and he crafts gemstone art. And he made that turquoise ring that Grizzly Adams
Oh,
had. You
yeah, I
notice
saw
that?
that. I noticed
yeah.
That was a big baller of a turquoise.
Oh, the
Hey,
big
Sean,
ring.
what year did
So,
Grizzly Adams die of lung cancer?
was that
that 2015?
2008? 2000?
I'm assuming that's
Yeah.
how he died, based on how much he was smoking in this.
Oh, George has got ahead.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, or you want to drop in your plugs?
Liz has got my plugs, and watch this movie. Watch it twice.
All right. Yeah. So thank you, George.
All
So
right,
yeah,
bye.
I think that kind of we'll wrap it up. We'll kind of do around kind of final thoughts, takeaways. What did you learn anything?
Don't trust George.
Don't trust. Don't take
I-
don't take movie recommendations from George. I think that's what
Honestly, I am glad I watched it because it is a while since I've seen a movie that was like the bar was this low for a film at one point. Like not a big movie, but it was low. Like because like we talk about all like the recent films where it's like Sony made Kraven the Hunter just to keep a license to make more Spider-Man movies, and you're like, I know why you made this film, and I don't really care that you made this film. But like back in the 80s, it was like we got $40 and an idea.
Pack of cigarettes.
And a pack of cigarettes. Like, we're gonna make a movie, and you're kind of like, I almost applaud that a movie could get made because so many people should have just said no to this.
I really enjoyed the Dan Haggerty kind of detective mission that he was on in this movie, that he undertakes for no reason. He finds like a little impression when he is in that storeroom after his buddy gets killed.
Oh yeah,
and
that
then
just
that's
looks
what
like
kicks. Yeah, that's what like kicks off his
a scratch in the
investigation.
cement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I liked watching him, and then was bummed out that we didn't get a satisfying death scene for him. So that's why I really liked the idea that he is literally Santa and just magicked away at the end. So
At the end. Okay.
otherwise it was garbage.
Yeah.
All right.
My two
Johnny,
cents,
what your final takeaway?
don't watch this movie no matter how much George tells you to. Don't watch it twice. Trigger warnings. Read anything online about this movie before you embark on it. It's not a fun horror Christmas movie.
It's not a fun Nazi incest film.
No.
It's the other kind of.
There are a
The
lot of
cat
red
drowning
flags.
really,
Sours,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's just read
That's a
all your
bring
trigger
down.
warnings before you go into this. Don't go into it blind, like I'm sure most of us did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you
and-
wouldn't go into it.
No, not
No.
at all. So, if you want to ruin your day,
One does not simply walk into Elves.
yeah,
You want to
Yeah.
test your relationship.
that too. Or watch it under the cover of darkness by yourself. Don't,
Just don't.
thank you for just don't. Just thank you for at least if I had to watch this, I could talk to you guys about it, and I didn't just stumble into this and go, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah.
I can't tell anyone I watched this.
No
Think
one
about
can
that
know.
poor son of a bitch, Niall, who watched it
Now,
and got the
Didn't make the
timing
final.
wrong and didn't
Yeah.
even get to talk about it.
He's just sitting
oh
there.
God.
Elves.
Elves.
That's the real joke.
All right. Liz, did we go to you? Yeah. What's your takeaway, final thoughts?
Buy your mom a gun for Christmas.
There you go. It's for mom. Yeah.
It'll
Put it
fit in her
in the
purse.
It's a great gift
Yeah.
for mom.
And then Dave, you'll get the last word.
No, I mean, yeah. I just wanted to thank you
Here we
for
go.
showing me. I didn't like this movie, but I'm glad I watched it. It's just, it
Yeah,
really just
yeah.
kind of like,
I didn't
it is-
like it, but it sure does exist.
yeah,
It's certainly a movie.
It's
that
not
was
good,
made.
but there's
Like-
a lot of it.
yeah. I just remember making a sour face and something like, they should have. I don't know. You
Yeah.
should do
I
this.
would have made a different choice here.
Yeah. Oh, I don't. Like so many
Yeah.
times I went, like
It's
like-
yeah.
There's not enough rope you could give this movie for it to like be worth your time.
Yeah.
It really, every time you're like, oh, well, Grizzly Adams, he's kind of doing something nice. There's just something that happens that just sours it and just makes you like, why are we doing this?
Because even the Nazi grandfather is like, no, it wasn't, evil.
Yeah.
She was drugged and unconscious, so it
Yeah.
was okay.
So it's
You
okay.
know?
I
That makes
didn't
it
get any
better.
pleasure out of it.
Yeah,
so-
Yeah.
I'm not a perv.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This, yeah.
yeah.
This is.
They just
this
kept
is like-
doubling down on like how awful
Yeah.
everyone in this movie is.
Yeah. This is like the Grand Corral buffet
Yeah.
of movies. It's not good, but there's a lot more of it than you want.
Yeah.
It's just weird. She calls the elf an F slur, and you're like, where does that come from? Like, I mean, of
I
all the-
missed
you,
that.
You
I
want
missed
to
that
curse?
too.
It's at the end. She goes die, and she slurs him up,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
she
Oh,
slams the
that's what
crystal.
she's okay.
And I'm like sour face, like I get you want to curse the elf for like trying to do what it did, but I don't know where you get that from. Like,
Like, whoa,
Well,
that
it's
kind
the-
of
it's
that's
the 80s.
uncalled for.
yeah. But it's just like, geez, I don't know. And then like, yeah, then you're watching a warped VHS tape for like 10 minutes. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about that. Why? That was weird.
Yeah. So I just want to wrap things up on a happy note. So Dan Haggerty actually did not die of
Good.
lung cancer.
Dan Haggerty, who did
die.
not die.
It's a
Did
Christmas
not,
miracle.
did not die of lung cancer. No, he died in 2016 of spinal cancer.
Oh.
Oh,
Uh,
that's not
damn,
better.
still cancer. Yeah, it's like, this sucks.
So no, that's the lesson. It's not better at all. It never gets better.
I wish
It
you said a
doesn't-
knife fight in a bar. I've been like,
Wait,
that's
no.
not okay.
Yeah.
This is a Christmas episode. You're supposed to end on a happy.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas,
The joy of the
Happy Hanukkah,
season.
everyone. Happy Kwanzaa. There you go. So to wrap things up, I guess like everyone, so thank you all for joining us for watching this film and agreeing to discuss it and admit to it in public. So let's go around. Let's give some plugs. Let's start with Travis. Where can people hear more from you? Because I'm sure they would want to do that.
I don't know if that's going to be true after this. But
You
yeah,
talked about
I'm,
some good movies.
Yeah,
Talked
I
about
talked
good
about some good
movies.
movies over on Real Comic Heroes. I think all of you have been on over there. And I'm currently still working on Minute of Thieves, where I'm going through Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, 1 minute at a time. And yeah, that's still in production and about halfway done with that. So
Yeah, so that's good.
Stay-
People
yeah.
should check that out.
Yeah.
Liz, you occasionally do some podcasting. You've seen a movie or two.
I mostly just guess nowadays. But I don't know. Keep waiting, and wait a Dune minute might actually happen. You never know.
Yeah, you never
Stranger
know.
things have happened.
Stranger things have happened. Exactly.
But
Yeah,
if you I guessed on things, and I'm gonna plug my art on stuff.
yeah,
Check out ozenbraun.com.
oh yeah, ozandbraun.com. Yeah, check out Liz. Liz has got some great patterns, textiles.
working on any
stuff.
elves related
Ooh, elves
Patterns.
are
Maybe
now,
some
yeah.
special Christmas releases coming
Mm.
up.
last minute Christmas.
That's gonna be next year's Christmas special. So
Okay.
get excited.
Ah, all right, that's exciting. So yeah, Johnny, what do you got going on? What are you up to these days?
Most like Liz, I guessed on some things sometimes. I feel like I've been on every one of everyone's something at some point.
Yeah.
But you can listen to Austin Powers Minute. It still exists. But catch me guesting random places through the podcast universe.
Podcast universe. And then finally, Dave, we know you got the Groundhog Minute.
Oh yeah, I mean,
else
I
you
love
got?
talking Groundhog Minute with you. I don't know if we'll ever get another Super Bowl commercial as good as that one from years ago when Phil revisits Punxsutawney in a Jeep. Or is it,
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
I think it was a big Jeep. Yeah, no, I did that. We did that. I work on 5 Minutes of Mystery, where I cover the 1999 superhero comedy ensemble Mystery Men, and I fight every day to make sure people know that All Star was written for that movie and not for Shrek.
Not for Shrek. It's a
And I fight that battle every day online, man.
fighting the good fight. Fighting the good fight. Yeah, and so I'm Sean from Next Scene Pod, where we talk about stuff. We do these holiday specials each year. If this is your first time joining us, go to nextscenepod.com and you can look at all our previous.
I hope not.
Previous years are not this type of movie.
Yeah.
There's good movies. We assure you.
Yeah, we do assure you. So so nextscenepod.com. We're Next Scene Pod on social media at Next Scene Pod. Also got our Jelly of the Month Club is our Facebook group. So you can come and stop on by, talk about elves, talk about alien seed, talk about cyber chic or cyber chick, whatever it is. And kind of let us know what are your favorite holiday horror movies that were filmed in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Remember, and when people say, "Oh, Die Hard's a Christmas movie," you go, "Well, yeah, so is Elves. So what does it matter? What's it matter, man?
Nothing matters anymore."
All right. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. Stay warm,
happy,
stay safe.
Don't watch this.
Yeah.
Don't smoke. Watch this movie. Goodbye, everyone.
Shh. It's snowing.
No. Let's make it too easy in terms of like the clap or syncing or anything.
Yeah, we don't want that for you, man.
Where's
Oh, you made us watch this movie. I'm not clapping for shit.
Well, I mean, it was a strictly volunteer basis.
That's true. I didn't even think I was gonna make it to this recording. So
no one was co-opted or blackmailed. We all did this of our own volition.
No one should have to watch this movie ever.
Watch it again, Johnny.
Yeah.
watch it. Apparently,
Thrice.
viewing number 3 is the hat trick.
Yeah. Sean
According to
says it gets
Sean.
better.
Yeah.
God.
I think it's gotten better each time, but
I'm concerned about you, Sean.
Seems unlikely.
I feel like maybe second time could be better because there would be fewer questions involved.
Yeah.
But I can't
No.
imagine third time's going to somehow up the charm or palatability of some of the stuff.
No.
I do wish that I could have seen the entire movie because a lot of it was just set in the woods at night, blue filters, and I couldn't see what was happening. So
yeah.
Just a lot of running.
yeah.
I made the mistake of watching this during the day. I should have watched it at night.
It didn't help.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.